Hello students, welcome to the lesson 3 of the chapter 4 from the subject Advanced Structural Analysis. So in this lesson we will start the second method of this chapter, which is the column analogy method. So in the previous two lessons we have already seen what is elastic centric method. Okay, so now in this we'll study column analogy method. First we'll see the concepts related to it and the procedure of solving the problem using your column analogy method. Okay. Getting into the introduction, so this method is basically used for finding your end moments for statically indeterminate beams and frames. So if you have a statically indeterminate beams and frames, using just your equilibrium equations, you will not be able to find your unknown reactions. So you need a different method. So for finding these end moments, we use your column analogy method. So in this, what will happen is, it is based on the analogy. Analogy is nothing but your comparison. So it is based on the comparison between your moments at the ends and pressure at the edges or corners of a short column due to eccentric loading. So what we'll do is we'll consider a small short column and try to calculate what are the pressures at the base. Say for example, if this is the short column, if this is the front view, okay, this is your cross section, say, right? So this will take it as short column and this is the cross section. This here, this is represented by your cross section, right? So what will happen is the pressure at the ends or corners. Say for example, if I take this as end A and end B, the pressure at end A and the pressure at end B will give you the end moment of A and end moment of B. Okay, so basically we'll do this. We'll convert the loading onto this. We'll convert the loading onto this and try to find the pressure at A and B, and whatever pressure at A and B will get because of this converted load will be the end moment at A and B. Anyways, we'll see the details when we see solve the problem or see the procedure regarding this, right? So what are fixed end moments? The end moments which are obtained when we take a fixed ends like this. For a fixed beam, when we calculate the end moment, those are called as fixed end moments. So here you will have a moment, here you will have a moment. So if this name we give as AB, so this is MAB and this is your MBA. Both of these are your fixed end moments, right? Fixed end moments. Understood. So basically your column analogy method is used for finding your end moments in statically indeterminate beam. So don't forget this. This is majorly applicable for statically indeterminate beam. What we'll do is we'll compare or get a analogous between your moment at the ends and the pressure at the corners of your short column due to eccentric loading, and whatever pressure we get is nothing but your moments. So we'll see the procedure, step by step procedure on how to solve this solve a problem using your column analogy method. Okay, so steps or your procedure, right? The first step is, say for example, first I'll take a problem. Say if this is the problem given to you, this is your fixed end or a beam is given to you. Okay, it has a point load like this, say P, and some UDL, say W. Okay, this is in kilonewton, this is in kilonewton meter, and say the length of this particular beam is L meters. This is your end A, this is your end B. We'll take EI is constant throughout. So if this is the problem given, if you observe, this is a statically indeterminate beam. Why is it statically indeterminate? See how many reactions will it have? One horizontal, one vertical, and one moment here. So this is your HA, this is your VA, and this is your MA. Here coming to this is also a fixed end. So one horizontal, one vertical, HB, VB, and your moment, say your MB. So totally how many unknowns are there? 6 unknowns are there, but we have only 3 equations of equilibrium. So this beam is statically indeterminate to a degree 3. So this has a static indeterminacy. So in this type of beams, if you want to calculate the end moments, you can use your column analogy method. So for that, what is the first step you do is you draw the bending moment corresponding to statically determinate beam. What does this mean? Statically determinate beam in this case is a simply supported beam. What does that mean is, now this is a fixed beam, right? This is a statically indeterminate beam. So convert it into a statically determinate beam by taking the supports as simple supports. Okay, so what we will do is we'll convert this beam into a statically determinate beam. How will you do that? Just take this beam, right? Instead of giving fixed support here, give a hinge over here, give a hinge over here, or give it as a simple support. No worries. Now this became statically determinate. Why? Say same loading, same everything. I've just changed the support condition from fixed to hinge to make it a statically determinate beam. Now how can you tell that it is statically determinate? See here also there is no horizontal load. So what you can do is you can neglect your HA and HB because there are no horizontal load. So in case if you consider without horizontal load, what will happen? So this will not be there and this will not be there. So number of unknowns will be 4, but the number of equation of equilibrium available will be 2. So in that case also it is statically indeterminate for the degree 2. Now coming here, so what will happen? Here there is a vertical reaction, here there is a horizontal reaction, here horizontal and here vertical. Now since there is no horizontal loading, what we can do? We can neglect this and we can neglect this. Right. Now how many unknowns are there? There are 2 unknowns. How many how many equations of equilibrium will you have? You will have 2. What are those? You will have summation v equal to 0 and summation m equal to 0. So this became a statically determinate beam. The unknowns are only 2 here. What are those unknowns? If we call this as A and call this as B, VA and VB are your unknowns. Understood? So this became a statically determinate beam. Now for this, what you have to do, you have to get the bending moment diagram. That is what is the first step saying. So how will your bending moment diagram look for this particular beam? We'll just randomly draw it. You don't have to calculate, right? So this is the case. There is a point load here. So linear variation, and here it will be somewhat parabolic variation. Okay. So this is your linear variation. Some value here, some value here. So this is what your BMD for this particular statically determinate beam. Now how do you calculate this BMD? You'll use your equations of equilibrium and try and first find the reactions. Once you find the reactions, you'll find the bending moment at different points, right? Then once you do this, you have to move on to your second step. So first step is what? Just convert the given indeterminate structure or beam or frame into a statically determinate beam or frame. Basically consider it as a simple support. Okay. Then what you do? Try to find the bending moment. How will you find the bending moment? Just use the equation of equilibrium, calculate the reactions and then draw the bending moment. This is your step 1. Moving on to the step 2. In step 2, what you have to do, you have to draw an analogous column which will be a short column with the cross section dimension equal to L and I by EI. What does that mean? Now let me draw the figure for that. Okay, so first I'll give you a 3-dimensional figure. So first of all, what is the cross section? The cross section for it will be, these are all straight lines. So cross section will be, the length will be L. So this value will be L and the breadth will be 1 by EI. So we have to select a column which has a cross section 1 by EI into L and it should be what? A short column. So it cannot be a long column. So it should be a short column. Right. So what is this height? This height, let us take it as short column. Understood. So this cross section will be what? Rectangular. So this cross section will be rectangular. Understood? So if now you want to see the top view and side view, every time these diagrams will be important when you're doing your problem. Okay, so this is your, say, take top view. So when you see from top, you will see the length L and you will see the width EI, right? So I'll call this point as A and this point as B. So here also this will be A and this will be B. This side will be A, this side will be B. So this is your top view. Coming to your side view or front view, how will it look? You'll just see the short column and the length. So this is what your short column and this is what your length. Okay, so this is your side view. Now on this, what you have to do, you have to put your whenever you create an analogous column, first of all, so these dimensions you need to create, then you have to put your bending moment diagram by EI. Okay, so M by EI, you have to put it as loading onto this particular column. This will call it as WX. So we have already previously got the bending moment diagram. So this diagram is nothing but your WX diagram. This you have to divide by EI. Okay, so this you have to divide by EI to get your loading on your analogous column, right? So this will call as MX by EI. So how will it look? Say here it was like this, triangular like this, and here some from here to here it was a parabola. The figures are not to the scale, please don't bother about it. Okay, so this is your bending moment by EI diagram. So this is what this total red portion is, what WX, which is equal to MX by EI. Understood? So here if you see from the side view, this is what will be visible for you. Okay, so this is what WX, which is equal to MX by EI. So how do you create your analogous column? Create a short column with a dimension L into 1 by EI, and on top of that put your bending moment diagram by EI values to get your analogous column. So that will be your step 2. So once you're done with your step 2, you have to go to the step 3 where you have to calculate the pressure at the base of the column. Okay, so at point A and point B, you should find the pressure. These pressures will be equal to the moment at the end A and B. So what did I say? PA will be equal to your MA and PB will be equal to your MB for the given beam. So if this is your given beam, this is A. So this is your given B. So pressure at A will give you the moment at A and pressure at B will give you the moment at B. Now for that, what you have to do? Now you already have the top view. You know how it will look. So this is how your top view will look. This is your length L, right? And this is your depth 1 by EI. Now since this is a rectangular section, where will the CG lie? The CG will lie exactly at the center, that is nothing but your L by 2 and L by 2. So this is what your CG line or centroid line. Understood? So this is your junction A and this is your junction B. So from here to here, the distance let us call as a XA, and here let us call this as XB. Since this is symmetrical, it is coming exactly at the center. If there is variation in EI or some unsymmetrical type of value given, then it will vary. That we'll see in problem in particular. So basically in step 3, first you have to put your CG, right? And what you have to do is you have to convert whatever the loading is there, no? What loading? Your M by EI loading which is there on this particular short column, you have to convert that into a equivalent force and a equivalent moment. So this is what your side view. If you observe previously what we have here, we have on the side view we have WX which is equal to MX by EI diagram. So this we have to convert. we have to convert it into, this is very important, a equivalent force and an equivalent moment called m dash. So F is your equivalent force and m dash is your equivalent what is that, moment. So let us write that equivalent force F and equivalent moment m dash. How will you get this? Is the area under your Wx curve will give you F, and moment because of your Wx about your centroidal axis centroid of the column will give you your m dash. This is very important. So if you consider the area under this curve, that will give you your F value, and if you convert the moment of this area about the centroidal axis, that will give you your m dash. Okay. So the total pressure P will be what? The sum of your linear pressure because of your F, uniform pressure because of your F. So your F will produce uniform pressure and your m dash will produce linear pressure. So the combination of these two will give you the pressure at the base of the column at A and at B. Understood? Now if we want to see the exact formula, so this is to find your F and m dash. Once you find your F and m dash, you need to find the pressures. See, same thing, whatever I have written here, we have displayed it here. Equivalent force is what? F, that is area under the curve Wx, and equivalent moment is m dash, which is the moment because of Wx about the centroid of the column. Okay. So if we want to write the formula, what is the formula? In this particular case, if you observe, this is in clockwise direction, right? This is in clockwise direction. So the pressure at B will be positive and the pressure at A will be negative. If it reverses, the values also will reverse. So if m dash is clockwise, plus pressure at point B and minus pressure is at point A. So if you want to write the formula, your PA will be equal to F by A. F is what? Equivalent force. A is your cross-sectional area of the column, plus, not plus, at A it will be what? Minus. For this particular case it is minus, right? Minus m dash, that's your moment, by I dash is nothing but your moment of inertia of this section, into xb. We already seen what is xb. So this distance from the centroid to the end B is called as your xb, right? So this is your PA value, and coming to your PB value, what will it be? It will be F by A plus m dash by I dash into XA in this particular case. Understood? So what are all these values? See, F is what? Net downward force. That's nothing but the area under the curve Wx, which is nothing but mx by EI diagram. Then what is your A? Cross-sectional area of the analogous column. What is this normally? This will be L into 1 by EI, that is length into breadth, right? Then m dash, moment about centroidal axis of the analogous column due to Wx. This depends upon the type of loading. This also depends upon the type of loading. Then I dash is what? Second moment of area about the centroidal axis. This we have to calculate. Normally, what is the moment of inertia? Moment of inertia for a rectangular section? It is BD cube by 12. So in this particular case, B is what? B is L, say. D is what? 1 by EI whole cube. No. So this we'll see detailed in the problem. Okay, what is XA? What is XA and XB? Distance of the extreme edges from the centroidal axis. Whichever edge we are calculating, that edge. Right. Now once we calculate the PA value and your PB value, This will give you the end moment at A. We'll call it as AB, and this will give you the value of MBA. Right? So this is how you will calculate the end moment using your column analogy method. So it's very simple, just 3 steps. First, convert it into a statically determinate beam and draw the bending moment diagram. Then create your analogous column and put the mx by ei diagram onto it. Once you are done with that, you have to find your pressures. For finding your pressures, first find your f and m dash. Once you are done with finding your f and m dash, put it in these formulas to get your pressures. The pressures are nothing but your end moments in a given beam. Okay, so in the next lesson onwards, we'll start solving problems related to your column analogy method.